Hello and welcome everyone to Game 2 of ShoWTimE versus Fuzer from... I don't know what it's from. I have no idea where this set of games is from, but it was played on the EU Battle.net ladder not on the ladder rather, but in a custom game. So I'm not sure exactly whether this is part of a tournament or what, but I'm just watching it for the pure joy of watching Protoss versus Terran and learning a little bit about the matchup. So, spawning here on Red City in the bottom right position as the red Protoss, we have ESC's ShoWTimE. His opponent spawning in the top left position as the teal Terran, we have from Team Menace, Fuzer. Now, Red City is kind of an interesting map. I believe it's called Red City, right? I'm not messing that up. Red City is the name of this map, I believe. The thing about this map is I don't like it for Zerg play. For me personally, I have it vetoed. Just because throughout all of the bases, there are just ramps and narrow chokes everywhere. As you can see, there's just narrow chokes here, here, here. Everywhere you look between every single base, there are these really narrow, weird chokes and things that are really weird. Destructible rocks to chokes, and it's just a really narrow fighting area. The only open space is kind of in the middle. If you look on the mini-map here with me, then the only open space is here in the middle of the map. So this is pretty much the only place that Zerg has a decent chance of fighting, because you don't want to be fighting in these kind of narrow choke areas like that. So I tend to not like this for the Zerg matchups. But for Protoss and Terran, it's a little bit more even, because Protoss and Terran enjoy fighting in those kind of narrow chokes, and they have the AoE to be able to really fight well in those chokes. Things like Colossi and the Ghost EMPs do a lot of damage in those kind of chokes. If I had to choose any side for this map being particularly favored in this TVP matchup, I would say that it would favor slightly into the Protoss side. The reason for that being is that your main is here, you take your natural here, but let's look on the mini-map here with me for just a moment here. This third and this fourth are very far apart. They're both on the high ground, and they're kind of on this big mass of land that you can defend somewhat easy. But the distance between going from here to here means that you have to come all the way up through this northern path or all the way down through this southern path. It's really hard to run back and forth between these two bases. For Protoss, once you have gateway units, you can just warp in your units, whereas Terran has to choose where are you going to rally your units. Are you going to rally them to this side? You're going to rally them to this side? You're going to rally them into this middle low ground area where you have to come up and around to get to it? It's really weird to have to defend these bases. So if there's a big army coming in from here, well, your army better be on that side, because your opponent kind of comes in from here and has a choice to attack either side. So it's kind of this map is just kind of a really awkward map. Very unique style for this map that, in my opinion, tends to favor Protoss just slightly. But if you have differing opinions, definitely feel free to comment down below, because I'm always looking to hear some other opinions, and I definitely do not think of mine as being the best ones. That's just my opinion from looking at the map. It's just my initial opinion. So anyway, let's jump into what these guys are doing here. ShoWTimE so far has opted to do the same build as we saw in Game 1. He's going for this gateway into Cybernetics Core, making sure he gets all of his gas geysers, and then just goes straight for his Nexus. Whereas Fuzer here did opt to go for this 2 racks opening with gas, so he does have a lot of Reapers coming on the way, and I like the idea of a Reaper opening on this map. There are these little high ground areas all over the place. There are so many places for Reapers to jump up and down all over the place, and so I think this is a fantastic Reaper map. So Fuzer is definitely, I think, making a good choice to go for this, and I like how he waited also to have these 2 Reapers before he goes into the main. It takes a Reaper 5 shots to kill a worker. So when you have 2, you can cut it down, and if you have 3, makes it even better, because then you can 2-shot workers. So 3 is definitely a good number to have, because 3 will 2-shot workers, but so will 4. So 4 is not a huge gain, but to go from 2 to 3 is a huge gain, because 2 will take 2 Reapers will take 3 shots. Yeah, 3 shots to kill a worker. So 3 is a good number to have. Also, anything more than 5 obviously is also good to have, just because you'll be one-shotting workers at that point. If we check out the harvester count right now, 28 harvesters to ShoWTimE to the 22 of Fuzer. So now he's just going to continue to poke in here, try to threaten his opponent a little bit, force his opponent to be a little bit more defensive. As you can see, already he's having to pull his probes back there, and oh, here he comes out with a whole lot of probes there, going for a little bit of a transfer there. Nice bit of micro there from Fuzer as he pulls back that weakened Reaper. These Reapers now in Heart of the Swarm heal up so quickly. If you just leave them alone for a little while, you can see their health regenerates super quickly. And oh, they're on the high ground, losing his high ground advantage there because that mothership core is giving him vision up onto that high ground. And now both players just going to be establishing their natural expansion. This map is a really freaking big map, so you can afford to play a little bit greedy on this map. And I think Reaper, this is another reason that Reapers are an absolutely fantastic choice as an opener on this map, is because they're very fast and they can run all the way across the map quite easily. So I think that's a very good choice there. And as you can see, Fuzer being a little bit more economic this time around, as he is now getting the third command center up and running. And ShoWTimE, he's not going to be able to do that quite as quickly, right? ShoWTimE, he has to have his, he can't start a third command center or start a third nexus in his main like Fuzer can. So he actually has to be able to put his base there and then have units to be able to defend it. So ShoWTimE is actually going to have to sit back a little bit until he's got an army up that he can defend, and he can establish some forward pylons and things. And oh, Fuzer's trying to jump up onto this high ground, but loses one Reaper to those Stalkers, which were already a step ahead. And he's going to try to come in here once again, but I think these Reapers are going to shut down any kind of harassment going down on this side of the map. In the base of ShoWTimE, we do see that the robotics facility has come down, followed by the robotics bay, opting to get out once again those observers, getting up that critical scouting information. And now we see the double forge going down here for ShoWTimE as well, now that he's established this 2 bases and the double gas on those 2 bases as well. And now looks like one probe just wandering around the map looking for proxies, maybe going to be placing some pylons down around the map. And it looks like these Reapers going to continue to try to come in here and deal some damage. Once again, these take 2 shots to take out workers, and it looks like he's going to lose 1 Reaper there, and it looks like he's not going to get too many worker kills for his troubles here. So far, 6 workers killed here for Fuzer, but he's lost a couple of Reapers there, so not the best trades in the world. But any damage that he can do at this point with these Reapers, going into the mid-game, these Reapers become pretty obsolete. So pretty much just trying to get done with any damage he can. At this point, looks like he got up to the total of 8 workers and didn't get any more than that. Now, ShoWTimE moving around the map hasn't placed down any pylons yet, but let's see what Fuzer's going for here. Fuzer is so far opening up with a lot of Marines. So far he's going pretty Marine heavy, not a whole lot of Marauders out on the map, just 2 Marauders, but we see that there are a lot of Marines on the field, and we see that the starport with the reactor is now down. He's double producing medevacs out of that as well, so it looks like he's going to be going once again for bio forces, and we see the factory also with a reactor down here, so we could see some Hellions coming down out of that, some Hellbats coming down is definitely a possibility. We see +1 attack upgrade going down for the infantry. We see the armory going down. So this to me suggests that we're going to be seeing some Hellbats coming down, as well as a second starport coming down here. So I think we're definitely going to be seeing some Hellbat drops coming out of Fuzer here. I think that's going to be a very likely scenario. ShoWTimE looking to take a third now, as, let's see, did he see that third command center? Did he see the third command center? Yes, he did. With that observer, he was able to get in there, see that third command center, so that's what it was allowing him to take this nexus, is that he knows that his opponent is going to be sitting back and defending at least a little bit while he establishes this third base. More and more Marines continuing to stream out from Fuzer, as we do see Viking production here starting for Fuzer, as well as he did manage to scan, and he did see that the double forge was going down as well as the robotics base, so he knows his opponent is going for the Colossus tech, and now Fuzer's just going to be poking up into this third, but I think this first Colossus is now out on the field, and that's going to make this push a lot weaker. These kinds of medevac timings are very strong if you can hit them before the Colossi come out. But as you can see, ShoWTimE was able to get the Colossi out, so that pretty much makes this this little medevac timing pretty ineffective here. And as you can see, ShoWTimE's starting to be a little bit aggressive with his pylon placement, starting to place some pylons around out on the map. And no gateways going up yet. I'm actually curious to know when more gateways are going to be going up here for ShoWTimE, as right now he's still just sitting on 3 gateways, and so it's a little bit dangerous here for ShoWTimE, but he's got the Colossus count so that he feels relatively safe, and he's got a lot of pylons out on the map, as well as this observer behind here, because this is a huge area behind here that could potentially be used for drops quite a bit. And it looks like Fuzer going to be pushing forward again, trying to apply some pressure once again. Fuzer just seems to like to play this very, very aggressively with lots of bioforces. As you can see, kind of using the idea that a strong offense is a good defense, I guess. Because as you can see, he's establishing this third base behind this, and his opponent doesn't really have a whole lot of options in terms of getting aggressive. He has to stay back right now to be able to defend against these medevacs and all these marines. You can see he's starting to take down these destructible rocks. I'm not quite sure. There's not a whole lot of attack paths that are opened up by having this set of destructible rocks taken down, but it looks like Fuzer's going to be moving out now with the rest of his forces. We see Hellbats are now out on the field, as well as some Vikings, and we're seeing more Viking production coming down here. 3 Vikings coming down at a time, and in that armory we do see ship weapons coming down, as well as the +2 infantry weapons here. So yeah, Fuzer definitely looking to get pretty aggressive here as he moves out across the map. Now, looks like ShoWTimE might actually look to put some counter pressure on his opponent. This is actually really, really good for putting down that counter pressure on your opponent. And wow, actually Fuzer taking a 4th base behind this. So he's hoping to just go for all-out aggression and hoping that this is going to completely stop his opponent from being able to put any pressure back on him. But ShoWTimE is aware of this. He's being very active with probes and constantly scouting what his opponent is doing. So I really, really like that from ShoWTimE. And now we do see more gateways going down here for ShoWTimE, as well as the Templar Archive. So he's going to be going into Templar and Storm here very soon. And now that he's already forced the Viking production out of his opponent, so now he's just going to be sitting back and waiting for Templar attack to be getting up here. And it looks like how many total gateways is he going up to here? Let's see. It looks like he's currently sitting at a total of about 7 gateways, but it looks like Fuzer's looking to get a little bit aggressive here as he's just moving and keeps scanning, and I don't think that he's actually trying to do any damage with this. I think the main reason for this is just to defend his bases. He's just going to continue to apply pressure at the front so that his opponent is forced to keep building units, and he's just going to keep jumping back and forth here between this base and threatening the third, just so that he can constantly deny the 4th base and try to get this third, apply a little bit of pressure to that third as well. So if his opponent gives him the chance, he can go in there, snipe off some workers, maybe even snipe a Nexus. Stimming forward with a few units here, and it looks like the worker count right now is pretty much even, 70 harvesters to 65, slightly favoring ShoWTimE. But he's on 3 bases, and Fuzer's about to be on 4 bases. As you can see, his main is getting a little bit close to being mined out for both players. So they're definitely going to need to go up on a few more bases here pretty soon. And now it looks like Fuzer actually being really, really good about picking off these extra pylons now, moving out here, going to be picking off some of those units as well. But focusing mainly on bioforces and a few Hellbats into the mix. These can add a lot of tankiness to your army here, but Archons have now been added into the mix here, and ShoWTimE's now moving out here. This is a good number of Vikings here, dropping down a lot of these Colossi. Looks like almost all of them are going to go down, and yes, all of them do end up going down, but Fuzer is down to just a few bioforces, and will he be able to hold? Looks like he's starting to cut through quite a few of these forces here, and these Stalkers now going to be forced to blink back. Needs to be really, 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 really careful here, because he wants to keep these Stalkers alive. These Stalkers are going to be dealing a lot of the damage here. Archons deal a lot of damage, but they also tank a lot of damage as well. And now it looks like he's just going to forget about those Colossi and go straight into pure High Templar production. If he wanted, he could actually go back into the Colossus tech, just because he did take out a lot of the Vikings of his opponent. But it looks like Fuzer is still going to be continuing that Viking production. And no, I spoke too soon. He's now transitioning into more medevacs. So yeah, he's kind of aware that his opponent's going to be transitioning into the Templar attack. So he's going to instead opt to sit back here and go for those. Now there is a warpin of Zealots going on here at that 3rd base, and it looks like Fuzer going to be able to pick that off with the Hellbats that have now come out onto the field. And wow, those Zealots are darn tanky. These Zealots are currently 2-2 in upgrades and about to be 3-3. 3-3 is coming down here for ShoWTimE. And on the other side of the map, we see Ghosts now coming down here for Fuzer as well. We do see that the Mobius reactor, that is the Ghost energy upgrade, coming down as well, as lots and lots more medevacs coming down here for ShoWTimE. As well as for Fuzer, rather. Now, it looks like ShoWTimE just going to continue to be content just sitting back here. He's very, very passive in his style. We haven't seen any aggression, hardly at all, from ShoWTimE, with the exception of one little warpin of Zealots down there at that southern base there. But other than that, we haven't seen a whole lot at all. So it looks like ShoWTimE, yeah, is just going to be content to sit back and take his 4th. get up more and more tech, more and more gateways going down. I'm almost positive we should see more gateways coming down here very shortly. But dropping to High Templar down at every single one of his bases, this is of course to feed back any medevacs that might come and try to do some drops. A medevac at full energy, if fed back, will die, because as you can see, medevacs have 200 energy, so if they are at 150 energy or more, a feedback will kill a medevac. So you kind of have to be careful as a Terran player once you start dropping Protoss players in the late game, or once your medevacs have been inactive for quite a while. Now, looks like ShoWTimE finally deciding to get a little bit aggressive as he's approaching max right now, and he's moving out with a big number of forces there. And I keep trying to look for an opportunity to drink some water right now, because I feel like I've been talking for a long time, but these players are not giving me the opportunity to do it, as it looks like we're going to be going for an engagement here, as, yeah, all these Colossi now moving in. Nice time warp goes down there, but the Mothership Core goes down right away. Nice storms going down as well here. Look at how slow those units are, but oh wow, there's a pylon that's going down right next to the base here, but this planetary fortress is going to be finishing up, and it looks like that's going to be able to clean up all of those units there. Another pylon is down there for ShoWTimE though, so he's going to be able to continue to warp in some units, and that's the building that I was looking for, the Dark Shrine going down in the late game. That's a good way to pull your opponent apart in the late game. So especially on these really big maps, if you've got pylons all over the map like this, you can start to warp in Dark Templar all over the place. I would like to see ShoWTimE throw down a pylon here at the southern position as well, so you can start to warp in some from that side as well. Now, holy cow, the ghost count is starting to get very high, up to a total of 9 ghosts, but it looks like ShoWTimE actually going to be going up here to this northern position to go for this attack on this 5th base. Yeah, he's going to be taking down that 5th base, and will it go down? That planetary fortress is getting repaired up quite quickly, but no, it looks like it's going to go down, and Fuzer actually opting to go for the counterattack here as he's moving in with all of his Viking and all of his bio forces to the 3rd base, or 4th base rather, of ShoWTimE, and it looks like he's going to be able to take that down quite easily. But ShoWTimE, I don't know, it looks like we are going to have a base race on our hands here, as ShoWTimE is now just going to start to go straight for the throat here, going to start to take down this base. 4th base going to go down here. 4th base actually going down for both players, although ShoWTimE does have another base coming up right now, but now he's going to start to push into the main, possibly start to push into this natural. There's another command center going down there, but that's going to be forced to cancel here very soon. And now it looks like Fuzer opting to pull back here, while ShoWTimE is just continuing to start to deal damage to the production of Fuzer here. So I don't know who's got the better decision making here, whether this is the right decision for Fuzer to be pulling back here. He hasn't really done a whole lot of tech damage to his opponent. He's done some economic damage, but he's sustained a lot of economic damage as well. Oh, finally getting a chance to drink a little bit of water there, as those Colossi are continuing to start to eat away at the production of Fuzer here, and he's losing a lot of units here. As this production, as all of his production comes out, it's all just dying right away to these Stalkers, and now the forces of Fuzer have returned back home, but nice storms going down on this army here, and it looks like Fuzer trying to get in here, deal a lot of damage, but look at the food differential right now, 150 supply to the 75 of Fuzer. He's just losing so much because so much of his reinforcements were just being taken out here, and now it looks like that command center is going to go down, as they were being focused down by a couple of Dark Templar, and this means that Fuzer is down to just 1 mining base and not a whole lot of workers. Worker count right now 65 to 19. Fuzer lost most of his workers there, and now it looks like ShoWTimE has another base out right now, and he's going to start to mine on that, and he's preserved a lot of his workers there, and Fuzer going to try to go for the counterattack here. Needs to do a whole lot of damage with this counterattack, but I don't think there's a whole lot that he can do here. He's got no more command centers that he can really do any more damage with. His production is pretty much gone. He's pretty much broke on every single one of his bases there, and he's going to start to move in with these forces to see if there is any damage he can do here. Nice storm going down there, and that is huge. Oh, he basically stormed Fuzer's entire army right there, and yeah, it looks like these ghosts are going to try to come down here, try to deal some damage here, but there are just so many units out on the field for ShoWTimE. 168 supply to the 52 of Fuzer, and Fuzer going to be forced to GG out of game 2 here, and this means that we are going to go into one more game to see if Fuzer can take his revenge, or whether ShoWTimE is going to be able to get a clean sweep 3-0 here. So stick around, guys. Game 3 of Fuzer versus ShoWTimE coming up in just a moment.